Welcome back to the Keep Looking Up podcast. I'm your host, Caroline Kraddick. Y'all, thank you so much for all the great feedback from last week's episode with Jenna, and also the amazing feedback from the previous week with Lizzie Bentley. We had such a nice conversation and a great turnout for our giveaway on Insta. So thanks to all who participated and listened to the podcast. I was very proud of it, and I know Lizzie was too. Okay, so today is a solo episode. I am running around like a chicken with my head cut off. Not gonna lie, I'm recording this the night before it's due because I am headed to Disney World tomorrow for Kids. If you're a new listener, Kids is a charity that my late father, Kid Kraddick, and my mom started when I was about 3 years old. Because when my mom was pregnant with me, the doctors had told her that they thought maybe I would be born with a disability. It looked like my femurs were twisted in the womb, or I would have brittle bone disease. And so I would be born handicapped. And, to my parents' surprise, I was born totally healthy. Apparently it was some malfunction with the, sonogram. Thank you, 90s. I guess that was the 80s because I was born in April 1990. Oh my God. Okay, weird. Anyway, so my parents started this charity to kind of give back for people who had gone through what they were going through and didn't actually have to deal with. So it started with a van of kids to SeaWorld in San Antonio. And it has now grown into, we've taken over 50 families in the past to an all expense paid trip to Disney World. And I've been explaining to my boyfriend, who has never seen Kids, what it's like. And I was telling him that part of the biggest appeal and the biggest draw to me is that these families have access to meeting other families who are dealing with maybe similar issues. And I think that's really invaluable because I know some of them feel alienated because not a lot of people understand what they're going through. And then also it's a time to give the siblings a chance to kind of be their own person and get some attention. And it's a beautiful trip. And we are also able to bring, a lot of these families have never traveled before because of finances. A lot of their income goes to the hospital, but also because they can't be away from the hospital or the doctors that long. So we are able to have this amazing group of volunteer doctors and nurses and respiratory therapists who all take time off of their work to come serve us for a 5-day trip. So it's really special. It's something we've continued to do throughout the years with the help of the morning show. I've done some fundraising. It's a beautiful thing. And the weirdest thing is I have not been on the trip since 2018. In 2019, it was November. I still think it might have been COVID, like before we knew it was COVID. I was around someone who had been traveling abroad. I'd never been that sick in my entire life. Who knows what it actually was. So I didn't get to go in 2019, 2020. We obviously didn't have the trip. And then of course the morning of, the day of the trip last year, I got COVID again. So, I'm so excited to go this year, and I'm so excited to be bringing my boyfriend with me so he can see this beautiful thing that we have built along the years. So, oh my God, my point is that we're doing questions. So I got these off Instagram. I hosted a little poll the other day and you guys sent me some really great questions. So I'm just going to go along through. There's not that many, but I think they're all really good ones. And you guys keep asking about the boyfriend. We call him Bear, and I will finally tell you guys the whole story because that was half of the questions on here. Okay. Okay, I haven't read these, by the way. My producer just sent them to me, so you'll get a very off-the-cuff answer, which I know you guys love. Okay, what are options that you use for holiday gifts to give the hostess? There are only so many bottles of wine that they could use, and some hosts don't like you to bring wine. Okay, I am, depending on the person, I think really nice candle is always a great idea. Nest has great ones. I love buying like locally made candles. Especially if you're coming in from out of town, it'd be nice to bring something local to you. That would be kind of cute. And then I love a coffee table book. That's kind of a go-to depending on their taste and style. Or even a cookbook that they might like. And then bring them a tchotchke, and even some flowers are nice. Don't bring them though in the wrapping. Put it in a vase, because there's nothing like having people over at your house when you're entertaining and then you have to put flowers in a vase. It's very annoying. So put it in a vase. Okay. Second question. What advice do you have for meeting your significant other's parents and family for the first time, and vice versa? And should I wait until after the holidays? Ooh, the holiday question is a doozy. I think it really depends on your family and how you grew up in their family. I know there can be so much added pressure with the holidays based on especially the times we're living in right now, political views. A lot of people like to have those discussions at Christmas dinner, and there's nothing worse than having to sit next to your parents and it gives you the jams if that's not what you're into. So maybe wait until after the holidays, unless they're really open and giving and nice and your partner is don't worry about it. For instance, we call him Bear again. I have met Bear's family many times. He's met my mom many times, but our parents have never met. So we are doing Thanksgiving with his family this year. He is from San Antonio originally, and it was supposed to be, he has a brother and a sister-in-law. It was supposed to be them and his grandmother. Now they are not going. So it's just going to be Bear, his parents, and me and my mom, which is very low stakes, very low pressure. It's not like I'm bringing her to a table of 25 people who are going to interrogate her. It's just going to be very low key. So that's my advice on that. And then advice for meeting your significant other's parents and family for the first time. I would say just be yourself, dress a little more conservatively. That's always my thing. I think ask the important questions, be open to answering questions. I think that's pretty much all you can do. Be yourself. Okay. For 2022, what is your favorite beauty find that would make a great and inexpensive gift for girlfriends? Okay. Let me check the price of this. It's not inexpensive, but it is totally worth it. Okay. So it's $69. So this is a nicer gift. Maybe more of a bestie, but this thing is the best. It is awesome. You put it in the freezer. It is the best ice roller I've ever used. They call it the Rolls Royce of ice rollers. I love especially bringing it on vacation. You can just throw it in the ice bucket if you're going to be up late or drinking or jet lagged. It is just a lifesaver. I think that is a great, great gift for girlfriends. Traveling by air, what is your must-have products to survive the holiday travel? Okay, there is this eye mask. I got it on Amazon. I will put it on my shop. It is not cheap, but it is completely worth every penny. It's a silk eye mask. It's not curved at the bottoms like most of them are. They're kind of sharper, like lines. And then it wraps around your head and the Velcro goes around your head. I took it to Europe with me, and I do terrible flying and staying in hotels, and it was so life-changing. I don't know what it is. It literally just blocks out everything because you have more control over it since you Velcro it in the back of your head instead of a flimsy string where it wakes up and it's 8 feet away from you in the morning. I really love that. Also traveling by air, I always bring, I love having peppermint oil when I land to kind of reinvigorate myself. And then I will also link on my Amazon store. I just had to ask my friend Logan, who always would give them to me. It's this vitamin C gel. It has 5,000 milligrams of vitamin C in it. And if you think you might be getting sick or even just preventative, it's great to just throw in your bag. So I always travel with those. On your podcast, you ask your guests for their playlists. What is your holiday playlist and the significance behind each song? Oh my gosh. Okay. Oh, now I know what it feels like to be Jenna and to be blindsided by this question. Okay. Grown Up Christmas List is number 1. I do have a funny story about it because I love the Kelly Clarkson version. And my junior year of college, I studied musical theater at Oklahoma City University, and I was in the Surrey Singers, which was this group. And I never got cast in anything at my school. It was like comical. But I did get into the Surrey Singers. So it was like a select group of people. I think there was like 4 to each vocal part. So like 4 altos, 4 sopranos, 4 bass, 4 tenor, I think. And we would put on shows where it'd be a little more pop, which is why I got cast, because I was very pop. And so we do this really big Christmas performance and then a like summer performance. So for the Christmas Surrey Singer show, we had the list of songs and we would have to like audition for the songs that we wanted. And I'm not tooting my own horn, but people have told me that my voice is similar to Kelly Clarkson. I'm not as good as Kelly Clarkson. Obviously, she's literally like not real. But we have similar tones and riffs and things. And so I wanted to sing Grown Up Christmas List because I want to be Kelly Clarkson. So I auditioned for it. I end up getting it. I was so stoked. We do like 3 rehearsals and something changed where I guess someone wasn't included in a song or we needed to cut time somewhere. I really, truly don't remember what the problem was. But basically they took Grown Up Christmas List away from me and gave it to a guy. And I was furious, and it ended up being like the running joke of all my college friends of like how, and the guy who got the song like did not audition for it. He just was given it, and he was so gracious about it and was not like, oh, I got your song. But we made the joke that like he stole the song from me. I ended up doing a duet with another girl called Winter Song. If you haven't heard Winter Song, look it up. That might be my second one. It's Ingrid Michaelson and Sarah Bareilles, and it's so good. Winter Song. Okay, so Grown Up Christmas List, Winter Song. Number 3 would be Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I feel like Christmas is always a little melancholy. Just because it's like I always miss my dad around Christmas, and if you have like a difficult family dynamic, it can be just a little melancholy. So I feel like that's kind of a melancholy song that I really love. And I really liked the Carpenters growing up. Okay, I need 2 more. Oh, is it no, not Last Christmas. That's not what I'm thinking of. Simply having a wonderful Christmas time. That's number 4. That one is because my bestie Bailey, who I'm still besties with, her mom is the most extra amazing woman. She helped me with my house reno here in Austin. They live in Austin. But we were in high school, we were freshmen, and Debbie picked us up, and she took us to Dallas, and we got to go Christmas shopping and eat treats. And like, I just wasn't allowed to do that stuff. I was like the Snackwell kid, or the 100-calorie pack kid. So I was not eating a lot of sweets. So I just remember eating this like delicious petit four in her car driving around Dallas, and it was so fabulous, and listening to that song. And I think it was also my dad's favorite song, his favorite Christmas song. And then number 5 is my dad and I's joined favorite Christmas song. And it's Wrapping Paper, Wrapping by the Waitresses. Christmas Wrapping. We love that song. Okay, I don't know why, we just like it. Okay, you have been interviewing so many influential guests on your podcast. Who is on the top of your wish list that you'd like to one day nab for an interview, and why? Oh my gosh, okay. I literally have a list on my phone, but off the top of my head, I'm dying to have Heather McMahon on my podcast. She's coming to Austin in January, and you better freaking believe I'm going to do everything in my power to try to get her on this podcast. I got to meet her when she did her tour in Dallas, and we've been Instagram friends since like 2018. I've always just been obsessed with her before she was even famous. And, so I got to meet her, and I thought there was no way she was going to know who I was. And like, she like knew every trip I've been on. So, in social media, like you think you're friends with someone, but you know that they don't know you and that you're not really friends. But like she knew who I was. It was pretty dope. So Heather McMahon. The other Heather is Heather Gay from Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. I love her. I'm so obsessed with her. I want to be her. I love how candid she is with her story. And one thing I'm working on in therapy right now is kind of being okay with the in-between. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a transition period right now in my life. And I, as a fixer and as a person who's always wanting to, better themselves, I'm like, I got to get to the next point in life. I need to be doing all these things. And sometimes it's okay just to kind of be okay in the in-between. And I feel like Heather is very open about being like, I don't know where I stand with my faith right now. I know I don't really want to be affiliated with the Mormon church. I'm not ready to make that big of a commitment, but she's kind of just like navigating it and okay with it, which I really like. I would love to have Claudia and Jackie Oshry. I have had a relationship with them for years. And I have been lucky enough to host the Morning Toast with Jackie, I think 2 times. I met Claudia for the first time when she was in Dallas for her tour, and hadn't met her. I met Jackie like a million times and had never met Claudia, and we fell in love and I love her. So I would love to have both of them on. And also I really want to be interviewing more couples because I loved the Sainty and Eric Nelson podcast. If you didn't listen to it, go listen. And I would love to interview Claudia and Ben together because they have a company together, and I would just love to hear more about their relationship. Okay, on my list, also I have Lauren Bostick from Skinny Confidential. She lives here in Austin. I definitely do not stalk her on Instagram. Don't do that. Just kidding. I love her. I just really admire everything she's done with her media company, and I just love her. So I'd love to have her. Fancy Haygood is another person I would die to interview. He is a country singer. If you listen to Caroline's Obsessions, I talked about him all the time. If you don't know who he is, go on Spotify right now and listen to Don't Blink, and go to his Instagram. He's hilarious. He's so talented. He's like a country Elton John in a kind of a way. He's very prolific. Also on my list is Casey Musgraves, goes without saying. I'm obsessed with her. Jen Hatmaker, I would love to talk to her. And then Mallory Irvin out of Nashville. Oh my God, I'm going to Nashville. I need to see if I can get her. I really love her. If anyone knows Mallory Irvin, actually I know Mallory Irvin. I know her cousin. Okay, never mind. But if anyone knows anyone on this list, DM me and let me know because I would love to have all of them. Okay, so many people don't believe in zodiac signs, but you do. How did you get involved in it and why such a belief? Proof it is real, please. For example, did it play any role on whether or not you and your boyfriend could be a match from day one? Okay, how did I get involved in it? That was my quarantine activity. Not to go into my whole life story, but y'all know my dad, I've talked about it before. My dad passed 2013. I was very busy 2013 to 2019, running our family charity, being on the radio show that he created, trying to have my music career. I was just very busy and I didn't really take time to grieve. And I felt like I was being watched a lot. And so I felt like I had to be strong. So I never really had time to properly feel those feelings. And it was starting to affect my life in a lot of ways, and including my dating choices. So when the pandemic hit in 2020, I really took that time to do the quote unquote work. I read every self-help book. I listened to every podcast. I have talked about it before. I did the Susie Batiste class, which really is what made me open my eyes and try to rewire my brain into better thinking. So I kind of had, if you want to call it a spiritual awakening, if you believe in that kind of stuff. And astrology just kind of like goes along with it. And a lot of the friends I was hanging out with, like Taylor and Nix, were really into it. So I'd known about it, obviously. I didn't really honestly, when I was younger, I thought I identified more with Aries, but now that I know more, like I could not be more of a Taurus if you asked me to. So that's how I got involved in it. Why is it such a belief? It's not the Bible to me. It's not like, I don't read my horoscope every day, but for meeting people, working with people, it just really helps me understand right off the bat. And you can't generalize people like that, because also there's your rising sign, your moon sign that contribute a lot to your personality. But I'm telling you, it's most of the time very spot on. And it can help me judge people quicker. Like people I'm working with, that sounds silly, but it's true. And story on that too, I'm in Paris. So Bear's dad is French. I don't want to divulge too much information about him, but, so Ben has all of his French cousins that live now in Paris. And, we were sitting at Shabbat, they're Jewish, and we were sitting at dinner and they start kind of grilling me on astrology. And I think Ben had told them I was an astrology girl, and I'm in denial that I'm an astrology girl. I'm like, no, I'm not, but I am. And so they're like, oh, Caroline, tell me what you know about astrology and why do you think it is real? And, so I asked everyone's sign, and everyone in the room, I'm not kidding you, everyone in the room was a Scorpio, and including my boyfriend. And I start listing off characteristics of Scorpio that I knew to be true. And I had only met his cousins once before. And they were like, oh, that's so right, but we get such a bad rep, Scorpio, And I was like, well, but they've got all these other great qualities. And I was kind of stroking the ego because Scorpio really likes that. And by the end of the night, I had everyone believing in astrology. So yes, I feel like it is a kind of a good precursor to getting to know someone. Did it play a role on whether or not my boyfriend and I could be a match? Do I want to know what someone's sign is before I go on a date with them? No, not necessarily. But if I know it, I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting myself into. Or I just know I vibe and don't vibe with certain signs. I'm not going to not date someone because they're a sign that I feel like is not compatible with me, because that's just silly. But I kind of understand what I'm getting with Bear, because he is a Scorpio, and Scorpio and Taurus they're the opposite, they're opposite signs basically. And so they're very compatible, but they have a lot of fire because they're opposites. And that explains us. Like I don't know. I feel like it's pretty accurate, and we like all the same things, which is nice. Taurus and Scorpio. They also say that Taurus is Scorpio with a garden, because Tauruses usually have green thumbs. So we have the same kind of attitude. Okay, now I'm on a tangent, and now y'all really think I really love this stuff. I kind of do. Whose podcast are you listening to right now, and why? Ooh, that's such a good one. Okay. I have been really, 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 hang on, I'm pulling up my podcast right now. I've been really loving the Mel Robbins podcast. She had this podcast on how to deal with narcissists that got my attention. And then I have been kind of really, really loving her ever since. She had an episode called 2 Ways to Take Your Power Back When You Feel Insecure. That one I really loved. 3 Simple Steps to Change Your Life. These are all her episodes. So I really like her. And the other one I really liked, y'all, was the Truth About Anxiety and How to Heal It, Tools for Anxiety from a Neuroscientist, MD. So definitely go check her out. It's very mental health based. Okay. The next one I've been listening to a lot is the Jay Shetty podcast. It's called On Purpose with Jay Shetty. He's wonderful. He's an ex-monk. And he has really great guests. He has a lot of great insight too. And he's not one of those forcing it down your throat. I always feel just very peaceful after I listen to his podcast. Like you've kind of done a meditation, which is nice. Sometimes I'll listen to Glennon Doyle, depends on the guest. I love Jen Hatmaker. I love Lauren Bostic's podcast, obviously Heather McMahon, all the people that I've been talking about. Gabby Bernstein, who's one of my favorite, has a really great morning meditation that I've been listening to, if that's your vibe. And then Armchair Expert is always great. I really like him, and Dax. And my last one, I really like The School of Greatness with Lewis Howes. He has really good guests on there too. He's had Mel Robbins on. That's kind of how I found her. So I really like him. All of those podcasts are all self-help. If there was any new true crime, I would be listening to that. I re-listened to Shittown the other day, and it is such a phenomenal podcast. If you haven't listened to it, please do. And then Serial is obviously back since the Adnan case had some changes. So that's been interesting too. I really love true crime, but other than that, I listen to The Toast. But other than that, I'm like just all self-help girly podcasts all the time. There's so much going on in the world, from the economy and more. What keeps you looking up? Yeah, there's a lot going on right now. I feel like, not to be a blind optimist, but hope for the future keeps me looking up. What's really been helping me look up lately is really relishing the small things in life. I think I've talked about this before, but on my 25 things I wish I knew before I turned 30, I talked about really relishing in those small moments. And I've been really trying to appreciate everything small. And just really, I feel like happiness can be such a choice. And I feel like it's the white car analogy. If you're looking for a white car, you're going to find it. So I feel like if you're looking for negativity, you're going to find it. And that's been my major mindset shift lately. So I feel like looking for the positive helps me look up. And instead of saying, oh, I have to go do this, saying I get to go do this. And just taking some of the pressure off. Another thing, y'all, that I've been working with on my therapist is I'm really realizing how bad my social anxiety has gotten since the pandemic. And I've always kind of struggled with social anxiety. And I like to stay home a lot because I'm a Taurus and I'm an only child. So it's easy for me to like alienate myself a little bit. And then the pandemic obviously made it worse. And so I feel like I just haven't exercised that muscle a lot lately. And I'm getting so fatigued, like dreading going out, and I hate it. And I don't want to feel that way. So I'm just exercising that muscle a little bit more. And it's been challenging. So if you feel that, just know I'm with you. It hasn't been something I've really, like, I just came to terms with it because we are always in like get on to the next day kind of mode, where I don't think we've let a lot of the fallout for the pandemic really sit with us. And I'm kind of letting myself do that and feel those feelings, and they suck. But I've been journaling a lot, and that seems to help kind of get it out. But anyway, like I said, if you deal with that, just know that I'm kind of with you. So looking at the positives, rituals, this sounds weird, but rituals keep me looking up. If I know I have something to look forward to every day, like I've started doing, it's so silly, but like a 3:00 little snack hour where I break from what I'm doing. I get a Diet Dr. Pepper because that's my naughty treat. And then I'll just have a snack, and I like sit down and I kind of like dance and move my body. It's my break that I take every day, because 3:00 is like my bewitching hour. So it makes me look forward to that instead of not. So just having little things that you look forward to and little rituals. Like I've learned to really embrace my skincare ritual and looking at it as just that, as a ritual, and not as just like another thing I have to get done before I go to sleep. And make it nice, like tourist it up, put some lavender in a diffuser, like make it a nice little ritual. Speaking of little things you can get for Christmas, sounds very frivolous, but I will also link it on my Amazon store, is a towel warmer for the winter. They are so clutch. If you just put it in your towel warmer, put your towel in your towel warmer before you get in the shower or the bath, it makes you feel like you're at a spa. Or what I like to do sometimes too is put a blanket in it. And then when you're watching a movie, take it out, and it's the best feeling ever. How did you and Bear meet? Do you have any tips on online dating? Okay, here we go. So to piggyback on what I was saying about the pandemic, I put in a lot of that work for honestly 2 years, and I didn't really date in that span. I dated one guy that you guys heard about on the Caroline's Obsessions podcast that I talked about. And that was right before the pandemic. And then I was kind of seeing this one guy, but it was long distance, so that didn't really work out. And then I did not really date the rest of that like year and a half after that. And I wanted to be at a place where I was, as Ed Milet says, keeping promises to myself, building my confidence. Because I felt like I was finally having that epiphany of, yes, we can all have rocky relationships in our 20s because our judgment just isn't as good. But also all of these things were happening to me. I was a common denominator. So what am I doing in this situation? And I think it was just a confidence level thing. And I think I was taking scraps from people. I was very fortunate to the last relationship that I had. He really showed me how to be treated. It wasn't a match, but he treated me like a princess. And that really did change my view on like, why am I taking literal scraps from people when I have so much going on for myself and I should be expecting way more out of myself and to others. So I think once I built my confidence and for me, that was like having a really strict morning routine that I kept, having a strict work routine. And it really was just routine and like exercising and keeping those promises to myself and doing and like reading and just doing the work on myself. Since I was holding myself so accountable, I felt like I needed to hold the people in my life a little bit more accountable. Because if you're treating yourself like shit, you're going to let people treat you like shit. And this is an epiphany I think we all have. Some of us have it way younger. But I had it, in 2020. And I was like, oh my God, I need to be treated better. Like I'm not going to take scraps anymore because I'm the full meal. So that being said, I bought my house in Austin, April 2021. And I was planning on moving by like the holidays of that year because furniture was so back ordered. And so I still had my place in Dallas. So I really was like, I'll just stick it out in Dallas until this gets done. Then I end up renovating. So it took even more time. So I was back and forth literally for a year, from April of 2021 to March of 2022 is when I finally got in. So I would be in town kind of sporadically, getting stuff done for the house here in Austin. And I also was kind of ready to start my life in Austin. I have a lot of friends here that I wanted to be able to see and work here to be done. So I really was trying to integrate my life here in Austin as much as I could. So that included for me, getting on the apps and swiping. And the thing that y'all have to realize too is Dallas, I feel like is such a fishbowl. And that was becoming part of my issue with being there any longer, as I felt like so much of my identity was wrapped up in one thing. And I just kind of wanted to like get out of Dallas and see because a lot of people know me and know my story there. And a lot of it might've been in my head and I might be delusional, like no one knows me, but it felt like people were making judgments on me before meeting me, or if they knew my last name, then they're going to Google me. And like, there's just no real chance to have a real connection like that. And what y'all don't know too is I'm so private. I really struggle with social media because I used to put it all out there. But at the end of the day, like I really, really, really value my privacy. And I think that's something that as I get older, it becomes more of a priority for me. But it just got really hard putting myself out there all the time. So I just wanted to like have a break and be a little bit more anonymous and see and have a different dating pool. Cause also I've been in Dallas forever. So I just kind of wanted to, see what my options were. The stakes were very low because I wasn't really living there full time. I was very back and forth. So I'm on Hinge and I match, this is last November. I match with this man, Bear, and keep in mind, I had been swiping a lot on Hinge and I got the premium, which I highly recommend, y'all. If you are single, it's worth it to pay because I feel like you just get better matches. So I was talking to a few guys and I wasn't really honestly taking it that seriously because it's like, I'm not going to really be here. Yes, I was like doing it to kind of build a foundation. So when I was there, which I thought was going to be a lot earlier than it actually was, that I could like, establish a connection and then meet them, but it ended up being like 6 months. So, he and I start talking. I'll just call myself out. I am such a bad texter. I'm flaky when it comes to texting. I will respond and either not press send or I'll respond in my head. My ADHD, I'm working on it. It infuriates me. So there would be times where I just wouldn't respond. I would forget. And he would literally check in once a week and be like, hey, just seeing how you're doing. Like, did you get my last text kind of thing? And so I would always feel so bad. But he literally checked in once a week from November till March. And we were supposed to meet in November. He ended up getting COVID. And this is how literally timing is everything, because I think it would have, I don't know what the situation would have looked like if we actually had gone on a date in November and then not been able to like get back together again until March. So we didn't end up meeting in November. It is, I think it's like I get in town on a Wednesday and it was South by week. I literally drove into town, had a photo shoot that day, was like semi moving into my new place, even though I was still under construction. And it was literally the day I got into town. He texted me and was like, hey, not to be a creep, but like, you in town yet? Like at the risk of sounding like a simp, like I really would like to take you out finally. And I was like, oh my God, yes, I literally just got into town. Let's do it. And so we set the date for Monday. And then on Sunday night, I remember I was out with my friends and I had gone on 2 other dates since I had been in town. I was busy. I like got into town on Wednesday, had a date, I think on Friday, maybe just one day. Okay. But I already been on a date with another guy. And I remember, and that guy and I met like at a bar and had a drink, and then I went home and it was nothing. But Bear, I was at a bar for South by listening to a band, and he texted me the link to an open table, and it was for La Piscina, which is this really great Mexican restaurant at the Proper Hotel in Austin. And I was like, oh my God, he made a dinner resi? Like, whoa. And my friends who are all on the apps were like, what the heck? Like chupacabra, this is wild. So we end up going to dinner, and it was just great. And I think it helped his case a little bit because the other guy I had been going out with, I ended up going out with him again. I think I only like went on 2 dates with that other guy. And by the 3rd date with Bear, I knew like I did not want to ever see, I knew after the 1st date with Bear, but like I told the guy after the 2nd date, I think, he was way more into listening and asking me questions, which I think is a epidemic in men. I see on TikTok, like men just like don't ask questions anymore, I guess. So he was very engaged. We are aligned on a lot of things, yada, yada, yada. So that's how we met. We met in March. We just celebrated our 8-month anniversary, I guess. I didn't know it was our 8-month anniversary, but he keeps track of that kind of stuff. And we'll do a podcast together when I'm ready to share him with you guys. I'm nervous. He really, because he's Scorpio, he likes his privacy too. So I don't want to divulge too much, but my message on that is stay on the apps, because I truly believe it's a numbers game and it can be so freaking discouraging. But also what I'll say too, y'all, is you can tell, like, okay, here, let me get my thoughts together. If they want to meet you immediately, like, you don't have to vet them out too much. Like, obviously do your due diligence, but like, if they want to meet you immediately, like, go and have an open mind. If it doesn't go well, it's fine. But if you are texting with them, look there are so many guys I've been out with who were sending me red flags via text, literally, and I ignored it. So like, if you're vetting these people out and you are getting weird vibes and red flags, like just skip it, because I feel like sometimes we can just like get a little fatigued with dating and be like, well, I've gone on 5 dates. I feel like it's quality over quantity at that point. Like, you don't have to go on a date every single day to try to find someone. Yes, it's great to put yourself out there, but try to like get the riffraff out via text and message, because I feel like they show their cards a lot and we choose to ignore it. And then you don't want to be starting like a situationship with someone, you know, it's just better to like vet them out at the beginning. That would be my advice. But yeah, Hinge I found to be great. So I highly recommend doing the premium. I want to like tell you guys everything. I want to go into all of it with him. So we'll do an episode when we're both ready, maybe after the holidays. I think that would be a nice little treat. Okay, here's the last question of the night. What is your current exercise routine, and do you believe in working out as a couple? Okay, another little thing about Bear. When I told my friend Logan this, she was like shocked. Bear is a CrossFit man. I never thought I would be dating a CrossFit man. I'm not a CrossFit girly. I will never go to CrossFit. I am like Pilates, move the little muscles, yoga, stretching, Soul Cycle kind of girly, not the CrossFit girly. Also, I feel like everyone that I've ever known to do CrossFit has been injured. He has not somehow. But so if we're doing that, then no, I don't encourage working out as a couple. But what we do love to do is we walk a ton. We walk like pretty much every day. I've been so much more active since I've moved to Austin. I walk Town Lake all the time. And that's something that we really like doing as a couple. And we'll do it sometimes like after dinner. We'll take Ollie on a walk around Town Lake, and I feel like that's such a 30s thing. Like, we love to get our coffee and take a nice walk. So I think that's a good way to like connect with your partner, while still doing something active if it's not CrossFit. He has also offered to train me, which I have declined. So anyway, my current exercise routine, I've been really off the wagon, y'all, just honest. Again, with that transition period thing, like I still don't have a routine. It's been on me. I've been really bad about it. So I've just been walking, like I said, a ton. I'm just kind of making sure I get my 10,000 steps in a day. And that's kind of all I have in me right now. And that's all right. Like sometimes I'll throw a little Melissa Wood, fitness class in. I've been seeing more on TikTok, especially women talking about syncing their cycles to their exercise routines, which I think is really interesting. And there was even an app, I think called 28 Days, that you can, it's based on where you are in your cycle, tells you what kind of workouts you should be doing. So I thought that was kind of interesting, and they have classes too. So I might try that. I know how I am. I'm going to get through the holidays, which is with as much grace as I can. And then January, I always like hit it hard. I do dry January. I always get into a fitness routine that I will quit in around April, but it's better than what I'm doing now. So that's all good. All right, guys, I'm going to go do my everything shower. I have to put my spray tan on tonight, or my self tan, not my spray tan, and wash my hair. So it's one of those showers. It's going to take me 8 hours. So I've got to go do that. I love you guys. I will be off next week for Thanksgiving, as I'm going to the kids trip too, but I will obviously do a recap when I get back. And we've got some really great guests scheduled for the rest of the year. I'm taking a Nashville trip. I'm not going to tell you who I have, but y'all are going to die. Y'all are going to die because I'm dying. Bear's dying. Everyone's dying. Like, it is unreal who I got. One person in particular. Other people are like freaking awesome. I cannot wait. You guys are going to love it. So stay tuned. Love you guys. Keep looking up, because that's where it all is. I'm just gonna get stronger. I'm just gonna get stronger. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to subscribe and rate. Keep looking up anywhere you stream your podcasts. And to stay up to date on all my latest episodes, you can follow at KLU Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, or on my website at carolinekraddick.com. And always remember, keep looking up because that's where it all is.